Hey guys, welcome to video. I am trucking today. I will not be reading comments because I'll be driving. I do kind of want to make sure the audio works, so maybe somebody will come in here and can tell me that before I take off. Maybe not though, because I just was on here doing absolutely nothing for like 30 minutes, so maybe my audience is tired of me now. Probably. Hey, if you'd stay long enough to let me know if my audio works, that'd be great. Give me a thumbs up. I could even take that as you heard me, whoever that is. I'm not going to be talking, or I'm not going to be reading comments because I'm actually going to be driving. So I just need to make sure my audio is working before I hit the road because I won't be able to. Otherwise, I'll just be talking and for no reason. Talking for no reason. It's all good. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Okay. All right. So I think this is pretty funny, but I so a lot of guys, a lot of drivers, they're really worried about. I feel like they're really worried about, um, like it's like about money, but it's not really about money. It's about not being taken advantage of to the point of it's hindering them. Like it'd almost be like if you win the lottery and let's just say you won $100,000 and uh, you spent $10 on the lottery ticket, right? You won 100,000, and then like because you bought it at this specific gas station or whatever. I'm totally just making this up, but basically, the gas station gets 5% of the proceeds, and like that, like I'm just thinking of this scenario in my head, and I would be annoyed about it. So I guess I would be annoyed about it, but at the same time, I'm just saying I'd be happy because I just spent $10 and I'm getting, uh, you know, basically 90. What would that be? 95,000. 5% of 100,000 is that 5,000. I don't know. But anyways, you get the point. So you're so upset about the 5% that the gas station gets for doing nothing besides selling you the ticket that you don't even want to do it or whatever. And I guess so. This is just kind of funny, but I had a guy that had sent me a really long message, just on one left a message on one of my videos, and I'm so happy that he left me a message. I'm not like basically it's I don't want anyone to think that uh I think the question's dumb. I think it's a great question. That's why I'm doing a video on it. But he basically asked, like he's running the spot market. He wants to make sure that he's not working for too cheap. He wants to start getting his own clients, and he just wants to make sure that he's not leaving any meat on the bone. Basically, when he goes and works direct instead of going through a broker. And I've talked about the broker thing so many times on my channel that I'm going to talk about it again. But there's a difference between there's different roles that a trucking company, a carrier, uh, has in a brokerage, and I feel like it's not about the money. Um, as as somebody that's just starting to do it, just starting to get into the load boards. Um, Last year I did it a little bit. This year I had two trucks that were doing it. and we're doing it. So we're doing a little bit of the load board stuff, and I'm grossing more than I usually do locally, unless we're just humming along. And everything lines up during the busy season. We can hit these numbers with trucks, but it's it's not as often. So basically, what I'm basically trying to say is that you gotta it's more than the amount of money you make. What I feel like, eh, if there's a problem with it, with the load boards, and I would say that generally speaking, I don't know the numbers, but I would say if you're not a mega carrier, and I know mega carriers do it too, but if you're not a mega carrier, I would say generally speaking, if you're doing over the road type of trucking, so just like dry van and refrigerated, you're probably using the load boards. And where I feel like load boards mess with my money, my finances. Excuse me, guys. I gotta get some coffee here. I've been talking way too much this morning. it's the it's the it's the consistency of not the freight, but of the money. So it's, in my opinion, worth. In my opinion, it's worth making less money and just knowing what you're gonna make. Like you can, but really you can't. You couldn't come to me with a business plan and ask me to borrow you money or loan you money based off of something that you just don't know what the rate's going to be today or later today or next week or next year. So I guess that, in my opinion, is the real that's the real issue with the you know where guys where drivers, owners are worried about going direct. I mean, right now with the way rates are, you go direct or you go on the load board, it doesn't really matter. There's money in it, and you're going to make money. And what matters to me is, over the years, and the reason I said something about Gold Rush in this video is, I haven't even been doing it this long, but there's clearly cycles in trucking, like clear as day cycles in trucking. I mean, equipment, the value of equipment goes up, the value of equipment goes down. It's it's like there's literally not enough money in trucking to make money on the spot market. Like, hardly. I'm gonna pull over here, guys. I'm at a stoplight, but let me know if everything's good. For some reason, I lost connection there. I'm gonna just pull over and regroup here. And I get to a stoplight, or I'm at a stoplight. I'm gonna actually just pull off to the side. All right, guys, it's safe. I am parked. I'm gonna check my messages here, see what's going on. 8:56 a.m. What the heck? It is good. Yo. Okay, what's this? Good to know. What's going on, Newberg? Newberg. Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time because I haven't been doing this in a long time. So I guess that's why. I just want to check something. What's going on, Trucker Abdullah? Okay, so let me get back on my little rant here, if that's what you want to call it. So, so just if you guys are just tuning in, hit the like button. Let me know where you're watching from. And I will not be reading comments or anything right now. I'm just gonna be uh, trucking, just trucking here, showing you my shifting skills. So, anyways, I was talking about the fools run in, the fools run out. It's too expensive. You know, like how you make money in business, not in trucking, but in businesses. You have to be in business. You have to stay in business. You can't. You got to be all in on whatever it is that you're gonna do. And like, you can't think that trucking isn't a good opportunity. Like, it doesn't change. Like, the only thing that changes is if you're doing spot market freight, the rates go up and down. But you gotta there. From what I've seen over I have like 7 or 8 years of being in business with the trucking, is everybody's in a rush to leave or everybody's in a rush to come in, and then what ends up happening is drivers, owners or whatnot, the people that make the money are the people that just, they don't treat it like the stock market. They just decide that this is what they're going to do to support their family and to create the life that they want, and then they just roll with it. Like, fuel goes up. That doesn't mean we should ever be having a conversation about getting out of trucking. We are in control of what we are in control of. And one of the things that drives me absolutely nuts is, people like truckers that say, "Oh, you got to know your worth." And like, just hear me out. You got to know your worth, but you can only charge what the next guy, uh, whatever the next guy is charging. So, because it's it's a very capitalistic type of a business. Trucking is and what I mean by that is you can be really greedy. And I'm not saying that being capitalist is greedy, but the whole point of it is it's a competition. And a capitalist is different than an entrepreneur, because an entrepreneur is kind of more of like, they look for opportunities. A capitalist will say, "How can I just take over?" Well, how can you take over a market? How does any company grow? How does a company grow? How do they get more clients? How do they get more drivers? It's greed. Do you know how they do it? I'm going to give you guys a second to say it in the comments, even though, like, I'm not going to look at the comments. They do it by paying top dollar to their drivers. Well, yeah, I understand. I don't know. Looks like I'm back. Sorry, guys. I don't know what you can hear or can't hear. Like I said, I'm not going to be reading anything, but all of a sudden it was like, I looked down for a second and the screen was like black. So I don't know what's going on, but I was talking about capitalism versus being an entrepreneur, opportunistic versus basically capitalism. Like, and somebody that wants to grow their business, if they want to do it in an unhealthy way, like if they want fast growth, they're going to need to overpay. They're going to have to pay over what the market rate is for drivers to pull drivers, and they're going to have to, if they want to get freight and win bids, they're going to have to be the cheapest bidder, which by default makes them a low baller, which no one wants to be a low baller, but that's just what it is. I mean, just the realities of it is we, as trucking, and if this is what we chose to do, you can't really call your rate. You just can't, because there's other people that will do the work for you. You don't have to do it. You can choose if you want to do it or not. You can ask for a higher rate, but that's all you can do. But you do have more control. Like right now, I'm having conversations with the clients that I work for, and we have fuel surcharges in place, and some don't. But you talk to them and you say, "You're going to lose me if I can't continue to work for you at this price with the way fuel is. Do you want to, So like I'm having conversations with people now that I don't have fuel surcharges with. You want to do a fuel surcharge? What do you want to do about this?" And they can choose to work with me or not. And I can choose to work with them or not. So, but you can't do that on the load boards. All you can do is you can call and you can ask for $50 more or whatever it is, and which is fine. But the main thing is that you just don't know what the rate's going to be next week or next month or next year or tomorrow. And what ends up happening is, and sorry, I apologize, guys, for talking kind of over again, but I just totally lost my train of thought with whatever happened with the video. So, but what ends up happening is you can't, you miss the opportunity when you're half in and you're half out. You got to stick out the bad times, and then you get to reap the benefits of the good times. And not everyone's bad time is not everyone's bad time. I mean, some people have a great time when other people are having a bad time. And I can give you an example of this. So like for me, I mean, I'll just kind of go through some of the cycles that I've seen in my 8 years of being in business. So when I got started and it's hard for me I can't talk about anything that I don't really know about. So I'm going to be talking mostly about end dumping. So the cycle that I've noticed is when I first got started in trucking, Wayne and me bought the truck together. We really wanted to haul frac sand, and not out in Texas or anything, but that a lot of the frac sand originates from Wisconsin and Minnesota. So that's why we bought the truck, and that was kind of like a gold rush thing. I mean, like legit black gold rush, like the sand. And it was just like greed. Like I've got the opportunity to see greed like I've never seen it before with that whole situation. So what ends up happening is everybody just starts throwing money at this, and the rate starts high, and as more people get into it, more trucks come in. Once they start pulling trucks. So what happens is there's no trucks. There's not enough trucks for the market, right? Because frac sand is a new thing. So how do you get trucks? You got to throw money at them. Okay, so the market, and this is before I got into it, the market for fracking was crazy, and they needed more trucks. So what do? They paid a higher rate. Then once the word got out, people started buying equipment. Like farmers were buying trucks. They had trucks. They'd buy an end dump. They started hiring people, and then the rate kind of went adjusted, and then it adjusted, and then it adjusted, and then it got to the point where it was a good rate. It was just a good rate. It wasn't great. It was just good. You could make money, and you can get rich over time, but you weren't going to get rich quick with it, right? We're not going to the strip club. We're not We're not making it rain. We're just providing for our family, or like whatever. We're just slowly doing the thing. So then what happened is, so that's a kind of a cycle in of it itself, and that's what I kind of feel like it happens in the spot market, which would be the, like on the load board. So what's happening is when the rates are high, there isn't enough trucks to meet the demand. And I just want to let you guys know, I'm not a trucking economist. I'm not an economist. I really don't know. But this is just how I feel it goes. Okay? This is just me talking and giving you my opinion, and I could be wrong, but hopefully it'll just give you something to think about. So what ends up happening is that's a cycle. And that cycle, basically what ended up happening was they got enough trucks, and then it just stabilized, and then the rate was just what it was for you to turn a profit. You can't go any lower, because at some point you're just going to truck till you broke down and you can't work anymore. So that's just the way it is. Just any business, they have a point where they can make money and continue, and they have a point where they can't. So that was a little bit of a cycle in my business, but then what ended up happening was a bigger cycle was the oil industry itself. So in the same example, at a certain price in the market, you can make a profit. You can turn a profit. A corporation can turn a profit on fracking. It makes sense for them to pay the trucking costs, buy the land, pay all the fees, transportation fees, put it on a rail, hire the people. Because if they can do all that, there's a break-even point of, let's just call it $30 a barrel for crude oil. So if anything above $30 a barrel for crude oil, they, as the oil industry, can afford to frack. They can afford to pay us truck drivers to do what we need to do, to buy the sand, to transport the sand, to actually pump the sand down in the ground and pump up the oil. So that was a cycle, because it went below $30 a barrel. So when it went below $30 a barrel, they shut it down. So they shut that whole industry down, and it was, the gold rush was over, and it was a boom. It busted. It was a booming industry, and it just busted. Everyone went bankrupt. And I've talked about this before, because you don't have, that's what's so great about trucking, is you don't have to go bankrupt because they went bankrupt. You just truck something different. So that's not what I'm trying to talk about, but the whole idea is, in trucking, we are business owners. If we own the truck, there's cycles where you're going to make your money, and there's cycles where you're going to just kind of be holding on or whatnot. And it's just the same in the oil industry. So what ended up happening was, everybody thought frack was done forever. Well, it wasn't done forever. The only difference was that fuel was made so affordable that it went under the threshold for being profitable to frack. So as soon as somebody gets greedy again, or whatever happens, or there's a reason for it, and the price goes above this made-up number that I have of $30 per barrel for crude oil, then they can start firing up, and it makes sense again to frack. Now, it went out of business twice, and then the third, it would be booming right now if our president when didn't ban fracking. So that's that's another topic. But the whole idea is there's been 2 cycles, and this would be the third right now, but it's not happening because we can't frack in America anymore as of right now. So, but the second time it happened, the same thing happened again. No one wanted to come in. No one wanted to haul. No one wanted the rates to be where they were at because they didn't make it didn't make any sense. They didn't want to leave what they were doing to do something that was so volatile, being hauling frac sand. So then what did they have to do? They had to pay a crap ton of money to pull trucks to get the wandering eyes to come over and do business with them again. They started paying high dollar. They started getting more and more trucks. Everybody decided that this was going to be around forever, and everybody started doing the same thing again, buying trucks, getting greedy. The rates went down. The more trucks, I want to add trucks. I'm finding drivers and master recruiter, this and that, buying equipment. The more that happens, all of a sudden now the rates stabilize. It's at a point where everybody makes money, everybody wins, and it's consistent. So that was the second time that happened in that industry. What happens when that industry booms? Well, all of a sudden there's a shortage in the cities. Where did all the trucks go? They're all hauling frac sand because it's super easy, and everybody left what they were doing to go do that. So now the rates go up. Okay? And now oil is going up, up, and up. All of a sudden, um, what ends up happening is whoever it is that's producing oil decides, well, they got extra oil. They're going to flood the market, whatever they do. Oil wars, capitalism, greed. They want their money, like whatever. If there's competition, you can't set the price. With trucking, you can't set it. I mean, you can, but you really you can't. So then what happens is um, the market falls out again, and it fell out for a lot of different reasons. But the whole idea is it's a cycle, and so that it went up and down and up and down, and we're all busy. There's not enough trucks. We need equipment. We need to get equipment. The rates go up because there's no equipment to be had. Everybody's using it. No one's selling. So that's kind of what happens. But the key to it is, in my opinion, of beating gold rush and just being existing in the trucking industry is just the longevity of it. It's not my mentor and good friend Adam says, and I've said this 1,000 times, is you're getting base runs, and once in a while you get a home run. And I've had like probably one home run in my 8 years, and that was when COVID happened. When COVID happened, I was set. I was in position. I mean, like, that was a grand slam. I've had home runs, but that was a grand slam. I was in position. I have my rates set. I had my people in place. I already had bought my equipment. And what happens? I have the quote unquote contracts, and then what ends up happening is um, the world goes to hell in a handbag is what ends up happening. But fuel goes down. The spot market rates go to, like, basically you might as well call them zero. Drivers weren't driving. People didn't want their trucks. So in so many ways, I did really well during that time. But it, like I say, I made up my mind that this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm not trying to do, whatever other business. This is it. So you just double down. So what basically happened was it was a gut wrenching feeling. But in 2020, I bought a roll off truck. A I bought those two red day cab Peterbilts, and I bought that '01 379. So what the reason that I did that was because there was an opportunity there. I had drivers that were flooding. I don't want to make it sound like crazy, like flooding, but more people than ever were more receptive to work for me. Put it that way. So then what ended up happening was I was able to hire people because I controlled the accounts and they weren't going down. So I was able to hire people, and I mean like good people. Like I had a union construction worker that usually works for me in the wintertime. He was laid off and he wanted to work. I had a guy that actually owner financed my freight or my Western Star, and he is an owner operator car hauler. He hit me up for work. So these guys were just driving my trucks. I had a rock star of a driver who I've only hired one person. I mean, this is like something worth just listening to, like right here. I've only hired one driver off of an ad. Out of all the people that I know and have, I've only hired one person off of an ad for a company driver. Uh-oh. See if I can, shoot. Hold on, I gotta focus here. I'm gonna be doing non-illegal things if you're watching. Non-illegal things. Non-illegal things. Not doing illegal things, because that would be illegal. Okay, we good. So anyways, I hired the one guy that I've ever hired off of an ad came during the pandemic, because he was a garbage hauler, and garbage wasn't slow, but what he did, like it moved. So like there was no one doing like commercial. No one was going to commercial, so it was all going to residential. And if you do commercial, and everyone's at residential, so it was like they were slow on one side but busy on the other, and I don't know, whatever. For whatever reason, they didn't share the wealth or move anything around. They just said, "Oh, sorry, we're limiting your hours." So I was able to hire him. I mean, that was a great find. And then all my buddies, like that own trucks, decided it would be a good time to put a wet kit on. So like, and then I had all these guys that were leased on to me and everything like that. Like just all. So because it didn't make sense to do any that market, so they jumped over to me and they worked for me. And a lot of them now have gone back and now they're doing their thing over there again. So it's just an ebbs and flow type of a thing, but you just got to roll with it, take advantage when you can, and then buckle down when it's time to buckle down. It's not time to quit. It's time to just figure it out. And you got to have your income at home in a situation so it's setting you up to actually win. It's really hard to make those types of decisions, gut-wrenching decisions, when you don't know if your 3 kids are going to have food to eat, or like you're going to lose your car or whatever it is. So like you got to be able to afford to make some mistakes and bet on yourself that it will work out. Because if you can't afford to do that, then you shouldn't do that. But you gotta start somewhere. But that was just one thing. So I'll give you another example of the ebbs and the flows, and then I gotta get off here. And my time's almost up, guys. My time's almost up. So um, when I watch I won't forget this. So I'm just gonna go random around a second. So when I watch DIY Semi and um, Cash is King, I always think that Cash is I always, in my mind, I call Cash Reverend Cash, Rev Cash, and I feel like he should have the offering plate out there, just like, yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of something funny. So, anyways, uh, so I'm gonna give you one more example of the gold rush, the fools rush in, the fools rush out. So I landed this awesome. So one of the things when I choose the people that I want to work for, I always think like, okay, if we have a recession, is it going to get affected? Is this business going to get affected? So I worked for a tire recycling company before. I don't really work for them anymore. I'm in contact with them once in a while. They like want me to do something for like really cheap, and I'm like, oh, here's what I will do it for, and then they don't, then they like lose my number. Whatever, it's fine. But I can't afford to work for them right now. I guess that's kind of the thing. So, um, but it's really a consistency thing, and so I look at that as like, man, that is never going to go bad. But the funny thing is they probably did get slow with COVID because nobody was driving. So that is crazy that it probably did affect them because people weren't using up their tires. And I always look at like tow companies. Like, I don't really work for tow companies, but I'm just saying like the same thing. Like, uh, it'd be good to work for good to own a towing business because you can't decide when you're going to need a tow, But um, so anyways, back to my story. I bought two dry vans like 3 or 4 years ago. I'm going to leave you guys with a question. You guys hopefully will answer it in the comments. What your thought and opinions are on it. But I bought two dry vans a couple years ago. I bought them from a dealership. Paid ridiculous amounts of money for them. The freight rates were at a time were like all-time highs. They're like $3 a mile. A lot of times, it was like $2.50, $3 a mile. Sometimes you could get like $3.25. This was like 3 years ago, I think. Must have been. And I was doing this direct thing, and like my rates were like, I was barely. I don't even remember exactly what I was getting, but I was like probably like right around that 285 a mile. So like the same as what everybody else is getting on the load boards. Is basically what I'm saying. But then the rates started to drop, and they were back into like the twos, and it was like, wow, this is. Then like the people that work for me wanted me to charge more to make up for the bad rates online and on the load boards, and that didn't really work out. But the thing is that I always thought it would be handy to have a couple of dry vans around. So like I didn't sell the dry vans. And I felt like, gosh, I should just sell these things. I'm paying, like, I got to store them, and they're sitting here, and it's a pain in the butt, and this and that. But I didn't. I was like, I might have a driver that wants to go over the road, do whatever. And then, yeah, lo and behold, who would have thought that the rates would be like they are and that it's hard to find equipment? And I bought those dry vans at a dealership for like $15,000. I bought two of them. They were under 15, and it was not a good deal. And it's just crazy to think that right now I could sell them for like 40,000. And that's the point that I'm making is that you don't get rich in trucking by rushing in, buying all this overpriced crap, and then thinking like it doesn't work like that. You gotta I'm not even saying don't buy. I'm just saying it might take you a couple years for you to realize that it was a good idea. If you're thinking it's going to be 6 months, then you might just want to just not do it because it's probably not going to work out like that. So that's that. Thanks for the comment, DIY. Um, so what was my question that I wanted to leave you guys with? Um, I don't know. I'm pretty much done talking. I got to get off the phone here. But yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much it. So I guess the moral of the story is that you gotta stay the course. You gotta stay the course. You gotta put your head down. You just gotta work it. It's all you can do. And I'm probably missing stuff, but that's what happens when you're driving and doing lives. So, thanks for listening, guys. And if you're still watching, give me a thumbs up. Peace.